If I've learned anything in ministry, it's this: God supplies His people with the abilities and the resources needed to accomplish His plans for us. Church, I don't ever want to take advantage of that here at Bethlehem. I don't ever want to take advantage and not fully fulfill the plans that He has for me as a pastor and that He has for us as a church. I believe there's reasons that God sends His people with hearts for ministry and hearts for other things. I believe there's reasons that He motivates us to get involved in different areas, whether it's the community, whether it's on a state level, whether it's a country level, whether it's a worldwide level. Acts 1:8, this is what it says. It says, "But you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem and in Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." Now, according to this passage, we've been given power. We've been given strength to accomplish God's plan, to take out the gospel, to share the gospel with our community. Jerusalem, with our on a larger level, our church, community, state, country, and ultimately church to the world. God's given us those avenues. He sent the power to us for multiple purposes, not just to do everything we can on a church level, but He's given us the power to do things outside of ourselves. He's given us power to do things here and to do things elsewhere. That was the purpose of Him sending the Holy Spirit, to be as effective as we can in getting the gospel out. One of the great missionaries of the early 1900s, Charles Thomas Studd, he said this: "The light that shines the farthest shines the brightest nearest home." The light that shines the farthest shines the brightest at home. And I believe that, church. What he was saying is, the more you do for out there, the more you strike up excitement, the more you strike up ministry avenues within the local body. I guess I'll begin this by saying this. This is the first time that I ever attended a mission field or was on any kind. I've been out of the country. I've done some trips visiting the Holy Land, even Greece, where you get to see some of the places where Paul ministered to and all that. But this was my first to be on a true mission field, and definitely my first to visit a third world country. In church, all I can say is this to open up: it was worse than I could have ever dreamed. There's no way the pictures that I'm going to show you tonight will be able to give you a full comprehension of how bad things are in Haiti. It's one of the saddest things that I ever was a part of. I want to split this presentation up into a few different areas that I want to cover. The first is simply this. I want you to see that the problems in Haiti are gigantic. And I use that word because, church, there's no way to wrap your head around how bad things are in the country of Haiti. I'll reiterate some of the statistics that we've shared in the past, but to get you up to speed, Haiti's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's a country of almost 10 million people. It's about the land size as Massachusetts. And now Massachusetts has the population of 6 million people. Now, which is a civilized, well-established state in the United States of America that has 6 million people. Imagine a country with the same land mass with almost twice the people piled into it, and it being a third world country. 80% of all the people who live in Haiti are living in severe, poor, poverty-stricken conditions. There's an estimated over 2 million people that are displaced. In other words, it's estimated that there are 2 million people that they really don't have count of. And I'll share how that is possible. Most of Haiti is not what I had envisioned. When you think of mission fields and, you think of flatter land, desertous kind of things, but it's complete opposite. Haiti is very mountainous and very rocky. You don't see hardly any fertile ground anywhere. It's all rocks, it's all hills and mountains everywhere you go. I want to go through some of the slides that I just put together to try to help me. That's just, we visited the orphanages, and that's just what some of them are staying in now. The ones that have anything, that's what we're trying to get them out of. And it is just a paper foam that has a little roof on it, and about 12 kids are being piled in to something like that. And you see there's another some other things that was at the ground level of the orphanage, which took about 3 hours to get to because it's up in a mountainous area. And the reason you have to build these villages or put these villages up away because they won't survive. You have to get them in a place where they are protected in a way. And one of the future plans is to have some kind of, while anything of any value in Haiti has a very high wall around it because of crime and because of all the things that happen in Haiti, and people just looking anywhere for food or any kind of shelter, they'll go to great lengths to find it. Keep on. There's the one on the left is what they call the kitchen. That's where they do all the cooking and those kinds of things. And the other's just an extension of that. Keep going. Here's a man that's been sitting there for over a year and a half, pounding on rocks and making gravel. He's doing it, he's a young man. He's been doing it so he can raise money to start a family. They are unlike us. They don't just start a family. Some of them that are educated enough realize that it takes money and takes things to, and so he is in advance. That's what he does every single day, is pound on rocks and making gravel, and he makes about 20 cents a day doing that. Now here is what they would call the city. Now this would be what we were driving to get to some of the, just saw the orphanage. This would be what they would call the city. This would be the best that Haiti has to offer, church. This is where all the selling and the trading goes. And you say, what's there to do in Haiti? That this is it. You acquire things and you sell and trade it. That's it. That's really the only way to provide any kind of means of living. There's just some other things there as you're going through the city. More, keep going, Rob. There's another, a lot of traveling by animals, and motorcycles are pretty prevalent there as well. There you see some other things, the buy and sell market. There's some others. And church, this go back. This goes on all day and all night. It never stops. When we left the orphanage to come back to our hotel, it was pitch black, and you're going through this same city, and the people are still there. selling and trying to do things. I mean, you can barely make them out, but you see them walking everywhere. Some of them will have little lanterns lit so that they can see a little bit. The others are just going about their business in pitch black darkness. Here's one of the villages that there was a few times in the orphanage that we got to venture off, and then we'd walk up the mountains to different villages. And here's one simply that we found. Keep going. And there's some other things there. I'm not sure if that's the orphanage as well. Some other buildings there. Keep going. There's another. That was part of the area where we ate lunch during the day, and that's where they prepared a lot of things for us, and that's probably the best facility on the land. That's the bathrooms you see. That's where everybody goes to the bathroom, or well, I say most of them don't use it. They find a tree. They don't find anything. Sometimes they do it right where they're at, and they'll do it in the city. You'll see men and women just out of nowhere just squat and use the bathroom right where they're at. Here we have. This was another little village that we kind of found, walked up to. Keep going. In that particular village, there was this lady here and her little girl. She had asked us to pray for her, and this was the reason she was asking. You see what's there? You see some little metal things sticking up, some gravel that they had gradually bought to begin to have some kind of floor. She asked us to pray over her because her husband's been working for 3 years, and this is what he's acquired so far for their home. It's taken him 3 years to get to this point, and they're trying to build a house, church. And this is as far as he's gotten in 3 years. Now, I just took a shot of kind of looking up to that village that I just talked about, because that's how it is everywhere. There's no easy road to get up anywhere. Everything's like that. And so we had to walk and we had to climb to get to everywhere you go. And so we had to make our way up to that. Now, this is on the main area of the particular orphanage that we are supporting, and there is the only water source. They do have a pipe that has been piped in, and half the time it doesn't work because people throughout the mountain, they have figured out where the water comes from, and so several times a day the water doesn't work because you have people finding that pipe, and they break it open so that they can get water. And so when they realize that they have to start searching and finding where the water source has been disconnected. Go ahead, Rob. All right. The second thing, the places are grim. Haiti's a very dark place, very scary place. There are a lot of things going on. Go to the next slide there. I took that picture because it looks beautiful, doesn't it? But that was us standing off before making our way up to there. What you can't tell in looking at that is that you have little naked families all throughout those hills there that are just living in the woods with nothing. Church, you can walk through the woods and you see little kids, 5 and 6 years old, just walking around aimlessly. They have nowhere to go. They don't know what to do. They've been left by their families. The average child, once they get 5 years old, they're left by themselves. And so you'll be walking up the mountain through the woods, and you'll see a little cloth hammocks tied from two little trees with a newborn baby just laying in there crying. And the family's gone to try to get food or water or whatever. And you see that all over these hills. There are families and villages spread out through that entire mountain. Go ahead, Rob. It was one of the saddest things that I ever experienced. When we were coming back from the orphanage to the hotel, one of the things that I noticed as we were driving in the pitch black dark on the side of the roads. Now there's no rules on the roads. There's no laws, pedestrians or anything. I mean, they have no rights or anything like that. There's no anything to follow. And so you can imagine how scary it is riding in a bus with somebody going 60, 70 miles an hour, and the roads are full of motorcycles and horses and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, they're just weaving in and out of everything. And what I noticed, and you know how in our country roads, especially us in the South, where it's kind of pretty prevalent, you're riding in a dark road at night, and you see sometimes you see deer just coming out of the woods. Church, that's how it is, except with kids. You drive down the road in pitch black darkness, and you begin to see kids every once in a while. They're just running out of the woods. I'm talking about little kids running across the road, running out of the woods and out of the side of the woods. And I asked them, I said, man, this is crazy. I said, where do these kids come from? They said, well, we don't really know. I mean, there's no telling where they're coming from. And I mean, people are just going, weaving in and out. I said, man, do these kids not ever get hit? And they told me, Jamie, they do it all the time. All the time. There's no quality, no value of life there. And these kids have nowhere to go. Church, without an orphanage, without something to protect them, they will not live. Here's what I've realized. That there's a lot of things, church, that we can support. There's a lot of things that well, it gets there, and we got Operation Christmas Child coming up, where we give gifts to children that's never had gifts and stuff, and it's the only Christmas present they get, and you know, there's things that we do to make sure that kids will experience what this is life or death stuff here. Without a way to protect the kids and a place for them to go, they don't make it in life. The people, church, are God's. I was going there, and you see it's apostrophe S. I'm talking about they're His too. Just like we are. Everybody's God's people, right? Didn't He create all of us? He created all of us. And as I was there, and I just realized, man, how sad this is. These are God's people too. How sad it is that we take for granted the blessings that we have and the things that God has done in America. But God loves those people too. He loves those kids too. How do you begin to tell them when they're experiencing what they're experiencing? What we got there? Here's just some things with me and some of the kids. Church, here's what everybody there smiles. They all smile. All the kids smile continuously. Now, I didn't see any kids crying. I never saw any adult or kids upset or arguing or bickering about anything. They were happy as they can be, smiling. There's pretty much there may have been a few running around, but there was most of the kids there, and they sang a song to us. All right. But here's some of our teaching. You see there along the line, the pastor, Pastor Enoch, he got word out to all those that were interested in ministry and stuff. And some of those men and some of these people, women, they traveled 20 and 30 miles, walked up to this orphanage village, because they knew that there was going to be some spiritual teaching there. And we took turns, and we all did certain lessons in teaching leadership and different things for them. And the subject that we talked about was humble leadership. That's what the pastor wanted us to teach on. Did you get that? You got people that's walked 20 and 30 miles to listen and to learn about God, and that's living in poverty-stricken conditions that have nothing, and the pastor wants us to teach them how to be humble. Ain't that crazy? Just the mindset there. And we presented all of them there with their first study Bible. Many of them didn't even know what a study Bible was, but through some other support that Don has had, he was able to get study Bibles printed in, I think Creole is what their main language is. And so there we are eating at the orphanage. And church, this is very rare. They're treating us like kings and queens here, putting us out of the sun. And I'll tell you this, it's hot in Haiti. I mean, you say, man, you get up under a tree. Oh, no. There's no way to get cool in Haiti. You say, man, it's humid here, though. Oh, no. It's really humid there. You say, I've heard there's a difference in humidity and dry heat. Well, forget the dry heat. It ain't dry heat over there. It is, all you do is sweat. It is as hot as you can think. Constantly. There I am with some of the kids, and what are we laughing at? Yeah, he's not sure. He's not sure. His friends were telling him to come on, and he was like, all right, I guess. But church, listen to me. They're so happy. It's amazing how appreciative they are for what we were doing, and we were doing very little for them. I mean, it really makes you angry to a certain extent of how ungrateful we are and how unappreciative we are for the things that we have, and not only that, but. And I'll get to some of this later, but how much we just take for granted in utilizing what God has given us. What we got next? This is a kid. His name was Joshua. And he came up to me and he introduced himself to me. And he told me his name was Joshua. He spoke pretty good English. And he said, can you say my name? And I said, Joshua. And he said, my name in Creole is Yeshua. And I said, well, good. And I didn't know what to say, but I mean, that was a big deal for him to give me his name, and he told me both ways. And then, and the purpose of that, he told me, he said, no, you don't understand. My name's Joshua. Don't forget me. He said, don't forget me. I said, oh, okay, man, I got your name, Joshua. I'll keep. He said, no, you don't understand. Don't ever forget me. So I pulled out my phone. I went to my memo and I typed in his name, Joshua. And then he said, let me tell you how to spell it in Creole. He told me how to spell it in Creole, and I took this picture, and he gave me a hug, and he said, "I love you." He said, please don't forget me. He said, and he knows enough, church, to know this. He said, "I won't make it if you forget me. I won't make it if you forget me." And he's smiling the whole time. And I gave him a few gifts, and they had sent us, Don had brought several things for us to give to the kids, and I gave him a little, some cards and some play cards things, and then I had a stack of them, and so I tried to give him another one, and he said, "Hold on," and he went and he took that to give it to somebody else. And one thing I noticed with all the kids, you give them a cracker, they'll eat it. They'll gulp it down like it's the only food they've had in 3 days. But if you give them another one, they won't ever eat it. They'll immediately go find another child so that they can give it to. Whether it's a brother, whether it's a friend. If you give them toys, they'll never take more than one. If you try to give them something else, they'll go find somebody so that they can give it to. Because it's so much just to have one of anything. We brought some soccer balls, and there they are playing. Seems Don had said it's kind of interesting. No matter where he goes, everybody seems to know how to play soccer. But one of the other guys brought some. You ever see those tennis balls with the Velcro glove? You know, you draw and it sticks to. He brought some of them, and church, they'd never thrown anything before. They didn't even know how to throw anything. It was craziest thing to watch them learn how to throw. They didn't even know what it meant or what it was about, but they were so appreciative. And here you see some of these kids. They have something in their hand. You know what they were doing? They were coming back to get something so they could take it to you. You'd see them go like vultures to go take it to another child, and then they'd come back and get something so that they can take it to somebody else. It's just amazing how appreciative they were. I want to close with telling you the potentials there are great. The potentials there are great. Church, there ain't no way we can change the whole country, of course. But there ain't no way we can change this country. But what do? You start with a group of people. You start with a group. And we have an opportunity to change the course of history for a group of kids. Here you see the church that was built by Samaritan's Purse for them, and it's very interesting to see them. Don was telling us that they're very uncomfortable with this church because you see how high the ceilings are. They feel that it's a waste. They feel that it's been a waste, and so they're very uncomfortable with the high ceilings. They're wanting to cut it off so that they can use the rest of it for other things. But that was one of the church services that we had there. And as I said, people had come from 20 and 30 miles away to be there as we taught and did different things. Now here is the land that our first orphanage is going to be built. Right there where I'm standing. And now, that was the first day that we were there, and he showed me, and I took a picture there, and then we left right before the sun went down, and we came back, and go to the next slide. Church, we came back early that next day, and they had already had it leveled and staked out. After Don had told them what was going to happen and the future orphanage that was going to be built, they worked all night long to get to that. They were so excited to get something began, and they worked, and there's some of the guys that had stayed up all night working in the pitch black dark to begin the process. There is the first orphanage that is almost finished. And that's kind of what it'll look like. The next slide gives you a bigger, that's the orphanage, which is very, I think it's a 20 by 20. And it's very sturdy. You say, why? Because of earthquakes and hurricanes and all those things. It is filled with mortar and bricks. Everything's concrete. And so it's made as good as it can be to withstand the weather and the things. And so you say, man, that's the orphanages that we're building? Church, that's the Taj Mahal to them. It's a treat just to be able to sleep out of the weather and to have something that's protected. And so that's what our orphanages will look like. And you see the land right behind it is where the next one, the second one, which will be our first orphanage. One of about 7 or 8 that we will be able to provide for the kids there. I want to say this as I close. Church, here's what the Lord's done with me. I want to help them. I think we've done a lot already, and I think it's something that's worth our efforts. But here's what the Lord impressed with me on our level. I don't ever want to take for granted the resources and the abilities and the things that God has given us. Listen to me. We don't have no excuse to be all that we can be for this community. God has given us so much, church. He's blessed us with so many things. And I don't want to get to the end of my ministry. I don't want to get to the end of my life and say, well, you could have did a little more with what I blessed you with. What was your excuse? I know you went to Haiti and some of these other places and they were very limited in what they can do. But what was your excuse for not continuing to do all that you can for the community? What was your excuse to not train as many kids as you can? What was your excuse for not reaching as many people as you can? It's amazing. It's hard to even comprehend that places exist like that. And church, what you saw can't even give you an estimation of how bad it is there. But I don't ever want to overlook the blessing. It's just unbelievable how we just take for granted the things that God has given us. And it's unbelievable to believe that places like that even exist. I mean, I was just in awe the entire time I was there. It's hard to believe that in our day and age that there are people living in those conditions with all the technology and all the things that we've got going on. And church, there are some deeper issues in Haiti. The government's very corrupt and all those kinds of things. And the earthquake and some of the things that have happened has really put a damper on any kind of progress there. But like I said, there's no way to change everything, but we do have a chance to change a group of kids. And the more we build, the more kids we'll be able to touch over there.